Today I'm here to review The Walking Dead Season 4, Episode 14, titled The Grove. So let's get started. Very excellent episode. Had no complaints. I loved all the characterization that was written for this episode, and I loved it all the way to the dark moments that appeared in this episode. Excellent. No complaints from me over here. So let's get started in this episode review. First, I want to talk about I cannot pronounce her name right, so please forgive me or whatever. But Lindsay. I always put that N that Lindzey. I don't know why it ends up like that, but please forgive me on that. But I want to talk about her character, Lindsay's characterization for a moment. Okay, she's a psychopath. It's revealed in this episode that she's a full psychopath. Now, in today's society, when you talk about psychopath, it's a lot of stuff comes about psychopath. And you have people, you have doctors, you have people trying to get the correct answer on what makes a child a psychopath. Until this day, can't no doctor, can't nobody give you a correct theory, because if one doctor tell you something, somebody is going to tell you something different. It's theories, a whole bunch of theory based. It's theories going around everywhere about this. Don't nobody really know what makes a child what make a child become that. But it's possible that she was suffering from some type of mental illness or personality disorder. Could be one of those two. But also, she's also delusional, very delusional. Like I say, she's mental. You can tell she's very mental and unstable. She's very unstable and dangerous, very dangerous. And for some reason, she showed these zombies. She 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 really care about these zombies, and I don't know why. And I was trying to figure out. I'm trying to figure out what's the relationship to him, why she care about him so much. Because we know that in the first half of season 4, she was even giving the zombies a name. And I was like, well, maybe deep down inside, she feel like she's alone, and maybe these zombies truly understand the real her, or maybe she feel like they can relate to her and she can relate to them. They have something in common, or maybe they just make her happy. I could never figure it out about why she felt so related, or why she liked these zombies, because she don't view them as zombies as dangerous. She views them as different, because she knows the difference between a human being and a zombie. But for some reason she don't call them zombies, and she don't think they're dangerous. She just say they're different, and maybe she feel different, so maybe she feel like they can relate to her. Like I say, maybe she feel different, maybe she felt different inside, and she felt like they could understand her because they different, and other humans can't understand her. That's the reason why she's so close with them, with zombies. But like I say, it's also a mental illness. She's delusional too, because we all know that's not the fact here. We know we know the reality of the situation. We know zombies are dangerous. I mean, Milka knows it. I mean, Milka has made plenty of comments in this episode about her with the rabbit. She brings that up, and she also says how she's kind of crazy in this episode. So Milka knows this about her sister. It's obvious. So moving on, let's talk about the episode itself. Okay, in this episode, I noticed something with the dialogue between her, between her and Carol, because we see her and Lindsay sitting. They by the railroad track. It's nighttime, and you can see how Carol was watching. She was watching out to make sure that everybody was getting good sleep, just in case zombies come. She was a watch out, and she tells her go ahead and go to sleep. And she starts talking to Carol, and she said something very interesting that caught my eye with that conversation they had. She asks Carol, she says, will there be any other children at the tournaments once we get there? And Carol says, if their parents kept them safe, like Tyrese kept you all safe, pretty much saying, yeah, if their parents kept them safe. And then she kind of stops Carol. She says, I saved Tyrese. They were she says they were people shooting at him. She said there was people shooting at him at them. But she says, I shot them first. And she says, first a man, then a woman. Now the woman she referring to, her name is Ashley. For some of you who don't know, Ashley was a lesbian. Her and Tara was in a relationship. I'm assuming, although their relationship didn't last too long, because Ashley died pretty quick after it came to the prison. But yeah, that was pretty much, her and Tara was pretty much lovers. And back to what I was saying about what she was telling Kara, she says first a man, then a woman. But something stood out to me about this conversation. She says, but then after that she says, I didn't mean to shoot her in the head. And then Carol says, you had it. Carol said, you had to. You saved Tyrese. So I went back. I'm like, okay. I said to myself, I said, okay, she's showing some remorse. I'm like, okay, wow. So she might be a different character. So I'm like, she's showing some remorse about her shooting a woman in the head. But then I put two and two together. I was like, why she ain't showing no remorse for shooting the first guy in? She said, she said first the guy, then the woman. But she said I didn't mean to shoot her in the head. And then it all just hit me. I say the only reason this little girl felt bad for shooting Ashley in the head was because Ashley couldn't reanimate and come back. That's the only reason she shot Ashley in the head. Also, to add to this, and what I mean by, I'm trying to make sense by this. In this episode, when she kills her sister Melka, she tells Carol, I didn't pick her brain, or I didn't mess with her brain, because I didn't pick her brain, or I didn't mess with her brain because she's gonna come back. And Carol says in this episode of Tyrese, when Tyrese asked her about it, she was like, well, she probably killed David and Karen. Well, David and Karen. And then Tyrese says, but how can she but how can she drag them out like that when she's just a child? And then Carol says it wasn't her, but it wasn't her because she would have let them turn. So back to what I was saying about Ashley. The only reason she felt some type of remorse was because she shot Ashley in the head and she couldn't reanimate. And also to add about the first man that she said she shot. The only reason she ain't showing remorse towards him because she shot him. She didn't shoot him in the head. Although it was off screen, she didn't shoot him in the head, so she knew he was gonna come back. That's the only reason she ain't showing remorse towards him, because she knew he came back as a walker. So going on, leading on, following on this episode, you got to remember about socio or psychopath and sociopath. So studies have proven when you talk about these type of people, these psychopaths, that fear doesn't exist, and that's just the fact. Fear doesn't exist in a psychopath. In this episode, it's proven obvious. It's proven obvious that fear doesn't exist because, like I say, this little girl is a psychopath. So I'm about to make 3 points here. Okay, point one. When that zombie was coming towards her, when that zombie came out that house and fell over that porch and was coming towards her, the only reason she was scared at that moment, she wasn't scared about her life or Judah's life, because she had Judah in her hand. The only reason she was scared was because of the fact she was scared. Was because they was going to kill a zombie that was coming towards her. She cared about the zombie. That's the only reason she was scared. And after they killed the zombie, she was crying about it. She wasn't happy about her being safe and stuff. She wasn't crying about her being rescued. She cried because they killed the zombie. And she said for herself in this episode, she wasn't scared at that moment. She was just mad about them killing the zombie. Point two. The little girl is in the backyard playing with another zombie. The zombie was walking around while she was running from it. You tell me any other Walking Dead character in a TV show that does something like that. That girl, fear doesn't exist in her. Point three, the girl's on a railroad track feeding a walker that they had seen earlier. She was feeding them rats. And when Mecca comes up to talk to her, and Mecca says, well, we were just playing at the prison about giving them names and stuff. She says, she pretty much said the situation that we in is really bad. We were just playing at the prison. And she see how her sister just took this and was really serious about it. She wasn't playing. Mika was playing, but her sister wasn't playing. She was dead serious about it. And she realized it. And at one point, she even took her finger and she says, I think she said something similar to, I want to see how it feels to be like them or be like them. And she takes her finger and put it close to the zombie's mouth by its teeth. Now, at this point, that's just the fact. The girl didn't fear nothing. I knew she didn't fear anything. That's the reason why she was so strong. It makes sense. It all makes sense. That's the reason why she was so strong. She was so much stronger than her sister. She's more stronger than Carl, because Carl would have never played around with no fucking zombie in the backyard. Okay. Let's go on to the next scene. In this episode, Carol is forced with a hard decision, and I really feel bad for her because she was forced and she had to kill Lindsay. And also, the flowers in this episode had a very symbolic meaning to it, because those flowers was something that had kept Lindsay. It keeps her calm. It makes her calm, collect. It makes her just cool, and it's just something that's like I said, it makes her calm because it makes her calm down from situations and stuff. It helps her. That's the reason why they tell her to look at the flowers. And also, there was some foreshadowing in this in the beginning of season 4, because when it was in the prison yard, she was looking at flowers. So we know that at this point. And Carol tells her to look at the flowers while she shoots her in the back of the head, because, as I stated earlier, she kills her sister. And matter of fact, it was some foreshadowing in this episode about her doing it. She pretty much hinted on doing it, but I just never really caught on to it, because I remember that night when I was talking after they got through fighting those zombies off. And the only reason she helped, because she did make a statement to Tyrese. When he was about to kill that zombie on the railroad track, she says, "Don't do it. Sometimes we gotta kill him, and sometimes we don't." In one of the scenes in the episode, she knew she had to do it, because you can see them fighting off the zombies that was burned up. But although even though she was helping to fight them off, deep inside that hurted her, because that night when her and Carol was talking at the table and Meg was sitting on the floor and Tyrese was on the couch on the sofa asleep, she looks at Carol, she says, "I know what I have to do now." And when she said that, I didn't catch on to it. She says, after that, she says it again. She says, "I know." And then that very next day, the very next day, Carol finds her over her own sister's body with a knife in her hand. So she pretty much gave some foreshadowing about her killing her sister. And the reason why she did it because as I said, well, because she tried to make an example, to pretty much show her that they are different. As she always said, they're different, and she always told them, "Watch, you will see they're different." They're pretty much saying they are no different from anybody else. And she wanted to make an example out of her own sister Mecca in this episode, and she did. And also about Psychopath, some of the remorse they show, that shit be fake. They don't really be showing no remorse like that. And it's right here. This how you know she was dangerous, and can Carol know she had to take her out. And this right here gave Carol a real good sign, because when they was outside, she didn't show no remorse for killing her sister. Because when they was outside walking, she came up to Carol crying. Well, when they was walking, Carol told her something. She started crying. And you want to know why she was crying? She say, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry." You want to know why she was crying? Because the only reason she cried because she pulled a gun out on Carol. She wasn't crying. She wasn't crying about the fact that she just killed her fucking sister. She was crying about the fact that she pulled a gun out on Carol. And then that's when Carol realized it was no help for her. She even told Tyrese, well, beforehand, she told Tyrese in the kitchen when they was deciding her fate. Carol tells Tyrese, there's no help. There's nothing we can do. So she pretty much dealt her hand right then and there when she realized that she was gonna kill her anyway. But it definitely sparked something even more when she realized she wasn't crying about killing her sister. She was just crying because she thought Carol was mad at her because she pulled a gun out on her. So yeah, and Mecca. I feel so bad for Mecca because Mecca was a very good, innocent little girl. I mean, it's very rare to find somebody like that, but at the same time, she was weak, and being weak would get you killed. And Carol was trying to tell her that you have to learn how to defend yourself. And he tells Carol that she will defend herself against walkers. But she also says that sometimes it might not work out with her trying to defend herself sometimes. But she also says that she will try to defend herself when it comes to walkers. But she says, "I cannot kill a human." And she said something very interesting that really made me like her character, because this is when I realized she was smart. Because she says she pretty much give a reason why she couldn't do it, and she tells Carol because they wasn't like that before. Meaning that these human beings that's doing all this dirty stuff now wasn't like that before the zombie apocalypse happened. There was different people, and she still looks at them the same, pretty much having that black and white mind perspective, in which that's bad, and that's the reason why she couldn't kill him. And like I say, therefore she was weak in a lot of people's eyes. And Carol realized it, and at one point she tried to teach her how to shoot a deer, and Mecca couldn't shoot the deer. She could not shoot it. And then after Carol tried to show her how to do it, she says, we got some peaches, pears at the house. We can eat them instead of the deer. And she walks off. And also, what I think gave Carol a lot of courage to be able to kill off Lindsay was the fact of something that Mecca told her. She said, "My mom used to say everything works out." Well, she said my mom used to say everything works out the way it's supposed to. So maybe it was meant to be, and Mabel, and it also has that them words they definitely have some symbolic meaning to them. And I think that kind of helped Carol do what she did in the process by doing it. Also, I want to add on one more thing for this review in. Also, in this episode, you see zombies burnt up. You see them burnt up. And it's revealed in this episode. Prior to that day, you see Carol and Tyrese looking in the air. You see a whole bunch of smoke in the air. And I remember Carol saying something. Tyrese saying it's probably another camp. Starting up a fire, to stay warm and stuff. But then later on, it's revealed that somebody was burning up zombies. Now, maybe whoever did this was probably trying to send a sign out to some other group members to let them know that we that to let them know that we are also that we are also headed to the sanctuary, or maybe they were just burning these zombies up to defend themselves and get away from them because they didn't have no more ammunition to defend them, so they burnt them up. Or maybe it could have been some of the old group members, because remember, all of them are headed to the sanctuary now. So maybe one of the group members one of the group members decided, well, let's go ahead and see, can we send some signals, because maybe some of our so maybe because some of our group members might be headed to the same place that we heading at too. So let's try to send a signal sign and see if they're coming, or see if they're there. So maybe it could have been Rick and Michonne burnt up the zombies. Could have been Sasha, Bob, Maggie did it. It could have been Daryl and the Bandits. They could have did it, or it could have been Glenn, Abraham, Tara, Rosita, and Eugene did it. Like I say, or maybe they just did it to just, who knows, just burn the zombies up because they didn't feel like using ammunition, or they didn't have no more ammunition. Who knows? But yeah, I think I pretty much touched on everything in this episode. Also, this episode, Tyrese forgave Carol. She finally came out and admitted that she killed Karen and David. Also, he forgave her, and also it's revealed in this episode that Lindsay was the one feeding the rats at the prison, because Tyrese comes back and tells her about it. So yeah, this right here was my review. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Have a nice day. God bless. Please. Peace.